All right, welcome to Undrafted Hockey Fan. I am Brad. Today we are doing a preseason tier list, just total vibes on what they're feeling. And so I got a tier list here. We're going to go over some of the what I think is going to end up happening because it's total preseason. You know, most of the guys are signed, most of the trades are done, right? But I'm looking at Puckpedia to see the roster they give me and say this is the status, right? So we're gonna be going through the list. They gave me this is the order they gave me. So start with the Avalanche and the Blackhawks, I guess. So we're gonna start with those. And so let's go with the Avalanche and kind of see what we have. And for audio listeners, I'll give you the categories as well. Make sure if you haven't already, please click like and subscribe. YouTube, if you're listening on audio, come say hi and everything. I said if you want to see the video version of this, it's on YouTube. But if not, I said thanks for tuning in on the audio version. So let's just jump right in. So top, we have Stanley Cup contenders. So my goal is to have one out of each division is the goal. And so again, this is right off the cuff. So this is not planned. That's the goal. I'm trying to be a little more authentic, or I'm trying to be authentic in when I do my videos because I want them to be like, hey, I'm not just trying to like pigeonhole these and try and be like, oh, these are totally planned. But I think it does give it a little bit more of like a gut feeling on how everything goes. So we're going to go off the Colorado Avalanche. First off, I noticed right away their draft picks for this upcoming year. They don't have a first, they don't have a second, and they don't have a third. And that was probably because the Mikko Rantanen trade, right? Not the Rantanen trade, the Brock Nelson trade, because they traded out a first round pick, they traded out Cal Ritchie. They're just kind of looking at their future's looking a little grim. And the problem is they lost in the first round last year to the Dallas Stars, which is kind of crazy. So I'm less secure on them being an actual like full blown Stanley Cup team. I think they're definitely gonna be a playoff team, right? You look at them, like what kind of season are you gonna get out of Landeskog? Like, of course McKinnon's gonna be great, right? But I don't look at their depth, their bottom six, like Olofsson, which is a fine signing, right? Kivi Ranta is your third line right winger. I mean, I just don't think that's like the biggest needle mover there. Ross Colton. But again, your top six is great. Of course, you have Cale Makar. The one sneaky move I did like they did is they brought in Brent Burns. I think that'll be really good on PP2 and kind of give Cale Makar a little bit of time off as well. But of course, it's Cale Makar. You want to play him as much as possible because he's just it's just a masterclass. So moving on to Chicago Blackhawks. Okay. Oh, sorry. I didn't go over the categories. Categories are Stanley Cup contender, playoff team, wild card, or just outside the playoffs. So guys that are fighting for that wild card spot. Tanking and rebuilding, and then last one is WTF. Like what is happening? Like what is the direction you're trying to go to as a team? And that's one of my favorite ones because it's sometimes you have teams that are just like they're kind of good but they're not, and then you have teams that are bad but aren't tanking, and it's comical. So preseason there's a little bit less what WTF, but we'll see. Actually, I don't know if there will be. I think there might be a decent amount still because there's so many teams that aren't rebuilding that should be because the cap went up and all that jazz. So we will see. But Chicago Blackhawks, I mean, they are still absolutely rebuilding. This year, they actually have 2 first-round picks and 3 first-round picks. So, of course, they did a bunch of free agent signings last year. This year, not so much. Nothing too crazy. I don't think they brought up anyone in that significance. They did a trade for Burakovsky last year with Veleno and Seattle. And so, I mean, nothing too crazy. I mean, hopefully maybe Colton Doc takes a little bit of a step. They did that great Frank Nazar contract they got signed. Really like that one as well. But overall, like maybe Leshunov like starts to crack into the lineup. They got him. He's only 19 years old, which is crazy. And then of course a full season of Spencer Knight. I think he will need a contract. Yes, he will need a contract at the end of this year, as so will Connor Bedard. So we'll see. Hopefully Connor Bedard can produce and get himself a nice fat check. But again, they are in the tanking / rebuilding section. So Columbus Blue Jackets. This is one of those ones where they finished decent at the end of the year. But again, they're starting to teeter in the WTF. I think, and we gave him a lot of grace last year because Johnny Gaudreau passed away. Of course, one of your number one wingers, number one players, not to be honest. So now you're kind of in a, hey, are they going to take a step forward? They have all these young players. So you have like Marchenko's already 25, like Veronkov's 25. Like you have a good young core. Fantilli's going to be 21 this year. Kent Johnson's looking great. Like Chinnikov. I'm almost like Kinnikov. Sillinger. Like you have these young guys that are starting to come up. But again, what's going to happen with them? So I think, and of course you have Zach Werenski, of course, who's a monster. But And I love Merzlikins as a goalie, but I wish he was just performing better. I don't know if I see them outside the playoffs. I think this may be our WTF. Because I don't know the direction, and I don't know who they're getting better. They didn't really sign anyone that was like a needle mover or anything. Again, that's most teams, by the way, as well. But I just don't know where the direction is. And the East is so competitive and everything. I don't know if I see them beating out Detroit. I don't see them beating out I think they maybe competed with like a Buffalo, and Buffalo's not good, right? So I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious on that. Let me know what your thoughts are, Columbus Blue Jackets fans. I'd really appreciate that. So moving on to St. Louis. St. Louis is also in kind of that weird tier part, right? They're right up against the cap right now. They only have $600,000 left. And they had a bunch of great draft picks. We had like who did they just bring up? It was, let me just remember. I'm pulling it up right now. Of course, it's taking a second. Snuggerud. That's what. Oh yeah, Jimmy Snuggerud. That's who it was. So we saw a great performance from him and everything. But you're starting to see these guys that are, because they changed out a lot of guys, got a lot of younger guys in. Jake Neighbors starting taking another step, right? Of course, you have Cairo, you have Shen's older, you have Robert Thomas. So you have really good guys here, but again, they're not like full-blown needle movers. Again, the Broberg, of course, the Broberg and Holloway offer were phenomenal. Binnington's good. Hofer looks like he's going to take another step, and he's in the first year of a new contract. So I am curious. Again, it's funny. I don't know if I see them fighting for a playoff spot, because who are you gonna knock out in the Central, right? Like the Central is like a very competitive. Besides like Nashville, so maybe it's I can see them just outside the playoffs. A little bit WTF though, because I want a direction here, guys. Right? These guys are starting to take more and more steps. I don't think they're going to be there yet. I still think they have like another 2 years before they make the playoffs again. And that's maybe where they move a Jordan Cairo or something like that. But we will see. Let me know what your thoughts are. So Boston Bruins are they are a rebuilding / tanking team. We saw that in the last year. They traded their captain, Brad Marchand, and they picked up a lot of good pieces as well. They picked up a first-round pick from him as well. But they traded for guys they got guys like Easton Cowan and everything in the Toronto trade when they traded not Lindholm. Who did they trade? I can't remember. Of course, it's getting too late for this. But anyways, they did a lot of good trades. Picked up Casey Milstead in a trade with Colorado, and they sent out Charlie Coyle as well. This is not a team that is looking to thrive. They're looking to do a real quick turnaround and make sure that David Pastrnak is happy. That's the biggest thing as well. Of course, they'll have Charlie McAvoy and Hampus Lindholm for a whole year. Swayman will actually be able to go to training camp as well for the goalie. And so, but again, I just think it's a rebuilding tanking year. Again, they got James Higgins at 7, who was projected to go first overall at some point last year, which is crazy. So I think it's probably good for them. They need to refill the pipeline after having an abysmal pipeline for so long. But I'm curious on how this is all going to kind of shake out and everything. So we will see. Move on to the next one, the Canadiens. So Canadiens made the playoffs last year, but I think there's a lot of things that went really well for them last year. And to me, they did a huge signing, huge trade, picking up Noah Dobson. And so the thing is, again, a lot of things went really right. And I just don't know if I see the same luck. I can honestly see I think they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. And there is a non-zero chance that they are going to miss the playoffs and take a step back, which is kind of crazy to think of. So I do believe that they take another step. But I don't know. Again, they have these young guys, and they're going to be so good eventually. The young guys are just not there yet, right? Demidov is going to get his first full year here, right? Nick Suzuki's really coming into his own. Caulfield's phenomenal. Yurov Slavkovsky, what did he have last year? He had 51.79 games start. That's a solid year, right? They trade for Zach Bolduc, which I thought was he had a half point per game as well. Kirby Doc maybe finally takes a step, right? But again, I think they have a really good setup. I think they're really set up really well. Again, Noah Dobson can be a phenomenal ad for them. Him, Cole Hudson on the. Again, I think they're probably trading Matheson at this point. So, but again, Montembeau is looking good. So again, I think there's a lot of really good things happening with Montreal. But I could see them missing the playoffs just because it's just so competitive in the East. And so we'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. The Vancouver Canucks. Again, it's funny. I didn't think we're gonna have a lot of WTFs, but I am in a little WTF with them. Like, you decide to keep Brock Besser. Great. That's a great option. I agree with that. I think that he's a great ad. There. Again, Hoglander is looking good. I really like Hoglander. I wish Red Wings did a trade for him. Elias Pettersson, right? He's only 45 points, 64 games. That's not $11.5 million, $11.6 million player, right? JT Bruss was a good signing, the year prior, right? You trade for Cheadle, but how healthy he's going to be. You get Evander Kane, and he's playing your second. No, he's not playing second line winger. He's going to be down. You have Garland. He should be, according to Puckpedia, they have him on the second line. That's not going to happen. So, again, they're in this weird limbo spot, right? You need to perform because you need to convince Quinn Hughes to stay here, who is one of the best defensemen in the league. Is up for the up. I think he won. I think he won the Norris. I can't remember. It was him or Kamikar, of course, right? But I think that those guys, they need to convince him on why he should stay in instead of going to play with his brothers in New Jersey. So we will absolutely see. So I'm going to go WTF. They need a little direction. They just need some direction at this point. So Washington Capitals. This is a go for a year. I think they are going to be going. They're going to be in that playoff fringe because you have Ovi for your last year. This is last year. He's probably not going to resign. One of the has the most goals in the NHL, which is just crazy that we've lived through this long. He'll be 40 this year, in like a month or two. So they're going to be going for it. If you look at the team, you're like, it's an okay team, but you're like Anthony Beauvillier on your second line. You're like, oh, maybe, I guess, like there's some guys that are fine, but overall, I think this team, again, they're in a wild card spot. They're going to be do what they can, but they're not going to try and sacrifice the future to get there. Again, they're going to try and give Ovechkin a good shot, but again, they recognize that once he's gone, they still have to field the team, right? So, but I think guys are starting to take a step like Connor McMichael. You're seeing Hendrix Lapierre. Of course, you have Ryan Leonard starting as well. He's going to be on his ELC. That's phenomenal. So, which is entry-level contract. It's his first year. It means it's a rookie thing. So trying to keep the channel friendly to people who are not just hockey people, there are hockey people that are learning. Entry-level contract means, hey, he's on his first contract in which is a really cheap contract. And if he does really well on that contract, it makes it really good value. So Capitals be a middling team right there. So New Jersey Devils, again, I thought they were going to be a little bit better. They do have a decent amount of cap space. They have $6 million left in cap space, but they're looking at trying to figure out how to sign, Luke Hughes as well. He's currently has no contract, so he's going to need a contract, but that's most of that $6 million is probably going to go to him. But unless they want to give him like I think they should try and give him an 8-year contract because they want to lock him down. I don't think they can afford to though. So I think that $6 million is going to be gone really quickly. They have good players. I mean, I think it's if Jack Hughes can have another point per game player. But yes, for Bratt, we saw, of course, breakout so well. He's been phenomenal, 88 points in 81 games. Timo Meier had an okay year, 53 points in 80 games. Nico Hischier is solid, of course. I mean, there's a lot of good guys in here. Mercer needs to kind of take another step, though, unfortunately. Only 36 points in 82 games for a guy that you really want more of, but he's only 24. Well, he'll be 24, so you still have plenty of time. Again, and I think one is a great defensive core as well. You have Luke Hughes, Brett Pesce, Jonas Siegenthaler, Dougie Hamilton, great guys. And of course, you have Jake Markstrom, who I think they're going to keep him for a year. I don't know if they're going to re-sign him, but for the price you pay, you kind of want to keep a guy. But he's 35, 36. With 36 this year, do you want to keep a guy like that? Old as crap. As I'm turning 35 this year, no comment. So, but I think these guys are. I think they're a playoff team. I think they're in the playoffs. I just don't know how far they're going to go in this case. And of course, you have Simon Nemec. Oh my God, they're in the press box. That's crazy. They need to trade him so bad. He only played 27 games last year. That's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. So, Anaheim Ducks, definitely a team that's starting to prove. They have $20 million in cap space. That is wild. Especially for a team that took on Kreider and Trouba. It's crazy. So this is a young team. I think they have a great future as well. Cutter Gauthier, Leo Carlson. I mean, Leo Carlson's not even 21 yet. He was 21 this year. McTavish 52 points, 76 games. He needs a contract, so that could be that a good chunk could be gone to there. It depends how much he wants, right? But I think this is a solid good team. Jackson Lacombe, right? Pavel Michukov, right? Olin Zellweger, right? These Drew Hellison, I forgot about him. Still young enough, 25 years. Of course, Lucas Dostal, who was just a monster goalie last year. Him and splitting that with Gibson, but of course Gibson was traded to Detroit. So I think this is a team that could fight for a wild card. I could see that. I could absolutely see that. They're not bad enough. They're just not bad enough to get a high draft pick in that tanking rebuild sense. But I definitely think that they could do that out in the Pacific, right? I mean, is Seattle looking good enough? Is Vancouver looking good enough, right? You'll have the LAs. San Jose is not going to be there. So I definitely can see them fighting for a playoff spot in this case. Maybe in a divisional spot in this case for the team. So we will see. But definitely like a wild card spot. Absolutely could see that for Wild Wing, their mascot. So we have the Calgary Flames next. A team that was going through a retool and I think are still there. And this is more of what I think that I think they should continue to kind of retool, rebuild. I think they have some good guys here, but I don't know if they have guys that are the needle movers that they need. You have a Sharon Govich, you get traded for, and Matt Coronado, Connor Zary, but you have guys like Kadri, who is 35 years old, who had a phenomenal year last year, 67 points in 82 games for his age. And then you have Morgan Frost, Joel Farabee, like good young players. But I think you need to like move on from the guys that are just maybe not going to be your staples long term, right? And so I think you need to move on from like a Rasmus Anderson, like an older player like that. I think you need to move on from a Kadri and just allow the young kids to cook. So to me, I'm kind of wondering on what the direction is. I don't think they're good enough they're not good enough to be in a playoff spot. So I'm kind of going to go in the WTF because again, you teams need a direction. You need are you going up? Are you going down? Are you staying the same? And it's sometimes it's hard, especially with this last summer, where you had free agency where a lot of guys just re-sign where they're at. And so it's hard to give a defining feature of like, hey, what changes do you make? Because not a lot of people make changes because the salary cap is going up or went up so high. So I'm curious on that. Let me know what your thoughts are, Calgary Flames fans. So Philadelphia Flyers, we're going to go to them. I see them as more like a rebuilding team still. I mean, they're all the way to the cap, which is kind of nuts that they're all the way to the cap, especially for the cap going up. And they gave out some contracts, but of course they picked up a Zegras, which I thought was so smart. He's in the last year of his contract. I think it was the change of seniors is so good for him. I think him and Jamie Drysdale is going to be a great little matchup. I hope that they both just thrive in those situations. Of course, goalies, they picked up, speaking of Calgary, they picked up Dan Vladar. They had 3 goalies last year and they were all terrible. Again, the team wasn't that great in general. But I think this is a rebuilding team. Again, the only team, a couple of guys that really thrived were Sean Couturier, Michkov, and Travis Konechny. Of course, they have a new coach as well. So I still think they're in a rebuild phase. Not like a full tear down rebuild, but they have some good young players and they just need to keep moving along, right? Keep kind of scooting them along. And you have guys that are going to break out like Michkov, like already has 63 points in 80 games. It's crazy. Especially for his first year. I think there's some good top end talent here. I think the bottom needs a little bit of help, but I think they're on their way for sure. So Vegas Golden Knights. This is going to be our first. See, actually, let's even look it up. I'm curious because I want to see the divisions. I think I want to have Pacific Division. I believe this is. I'm trying to think if it was Edmonton Oilers. I think Vegas is part of the. They are. Yeah, no. This is right. Oh, this has the Oilers. Dang it, Oilers, Flames, Golden Knights. So I was trying to pick Stanley Cup contender. I was going to put Vegas Golden Knights. I was thinking that Oilers were in the Central for some reason. So, but I was going to go. I have spoiler alert. I don't think Vegas is going to be the Stanley Cup contender. Are they though? Are they? They might be with the Oilers, who kind of, I don't say took a step back. I just wasn't impressed. We might move them up. Just look. Let's move them up to the front because I want to talk about them. because you think about the big ad that the Vegas Golden Knights did. They picked up Mitch Marner. I mean, a top 10 winger in the league, potentially top 20 player in the league, probably, or forward in the league. So again, a guy that had 102 points, 81 games. I mean, this team is just so good. Again, they had Hannafin at the end of the year too. Aiden Hill. I think their bottom six needs some help. I think bottom six needs help, and again, I think their fourth line needs a little help as well. Overall, I might take. How do you bet against McDavid though, and the Oilers? I think. Well, and Jack Eichel's in a contract year and in contract year. So, by the way, in contract years, guys who are in contract years typically play so good because they want to get a nice fat contract. So that's why they play so well. And so I feel that the Oilers will still beat them because you can't beat Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. How do you bet against them? So I am going to go them as a playoff team, but it'll be a 1-2. It'll absolutely be a 1-2 Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights. So again, still not impressed. Now moving on to the Oilers, I'm not impressed with them. But of course, you have guys like, Zach Hyman's coming back fully healthy, right? Connor McDavid is Connor McDavid. He is him. Draisaitl, of course, again, or highest paid. Yeah, he's the highest paid because he's $14 million. There's a lot of like really good players again. So I think they're oddly old in some spaces though. So, and their highs are highs and their lows are lows. So we will see what happens. Again, goaltending still ends up being an issue there, which I think is their biggest issue. So, but of course, Bouchard's going to be a freaking knockout. What do you have again? 67 points in 82 games. Good for him as the Bouch bomb. $10.5 million contract, which is crazy. So I am going to have them being my Stanley Cup winners in this case. It's hard to argue, right? They also traded for Isaac Howard from the Tampa Bay Lightning, signed him to his ELC, who at Michigan State had 52 points, 37 games. Phenomenal. Basically a point and a half, almost basically a point and a half a game, which is in the NCAA is very impressive. So I said, and on color me, impressed. So moving on to how many we got? Do we take a break? Yeah, we can take it. Well, we'll do Carolina. We'll take a break. So Carolina Hurricanes, they have $10.5 million in. Dude, Carolina just does it so well. Okay, how do you trade for Mikko Rantanen, one of the best players in the NHL? He doesn't want to sign a contract with you, so you retrade him again, and you send out two guys that you didn't need in a second round pick. You get Mikko Rantanen back, then you take him, trade him again back to the other division where he came from. Colorado's like, hey, we don't want to trade him, but they trade him to he goes from the West to the East, and the East is like, nope, get him out of here, send him to the West. Signs the Dallas Stars, and they get 2 first-round draft picks and Logan Stankoven. It's just crazy. And then, of course, in the offseason, they pick up Nikolai Ehlers. Just phenomenal. Big fans. I could see in the Metropolitan the Carolina Hurricanes being the number 1 team. I absolutely can see it. I think there's no denying that they're a phenomenal team. And I think, well, I'm going to say, we're going to say it. They are going to be, let's move them over. They're going to be my Stanley Cup champions either. Because who's left? You have the Islanders, no. Pittsburgh, no. Rangers, no. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be the Carolina Hurricanes. They're going to be the Stanley Cup contenders that come out of the Metropolitan Division. So, I mean, yeah, that just makes a ton of sense. So, we have the Carolina Hurricanes, who are, again, just a solid team, doing such a good job managing their cap in such a great way. It's very impressive. So, we'll take a quick break right after this to hear from some sponsors. And we are back at it. And so we got the Islanders, goodness gracious. Islanders coming up now, who just had the first overall pick. Thinking of Matthew Schaefer. And the question is, do you think we see him start? Oh, goodness gracious, it's a hair. Do you think we see him starting this year? I don't know if we see it. He just signed his ELC. Currently, they don't have him. They don't have him on the team yet. That's kind of crazy. But I could see him going back for a year. He had lost a ton of games because of his injury and everything. But again, Jonathan Drouin. Oh, good for him, dude. I mean, good for he thrived under $4 million. Good for him, dude. that's a great because he was thriving with McKinnon and everything. So, but again, this is a team that they're rebuilding. They won the first round overall draft pick. They traded out Noah Dobson. Picked up some great. They picked up Eklund. They picked up who's the other guy they just picked up? He was at Aitchison. Yep, Kashawn Aitchison. I mean, they also had where's Cal Ritchie as well. I think he's on here as well. Where you at, bro? Where you at, bro? If Cal Ritchie as well. I mean, they are looking really good. They're still, I think they're in a rebuild. I think they decided to go through a little bit of a retool rebuild. You know, no one likes to call it a rebuild because that's just like a weird. It's a hard thing because everyone's like, we don't have to rebuild. It takes forever. And it does. But again, I think it's a retool is probably more where they're at because they won the first overall draft pick. So it's a pretty premium way to start your rebuild. Is like, oh, okay, let's do that then. So rebuild, that just makes a ton of sense to them. Get another top 5 draft pick, and that they will be doing just fine. So Winnipeg Jets, they have a little under $4 million left in cap space, and they lose a big piece in Ehlers, who we just talked about with the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, they have Kyle Connor. They need to prove to Kyle Connor why he should stay here. I mean, he had 97 points in 82 games. Scheifele at 87, 82. I mean, these are some really good guys. You're hoping that, Velarde takes another step. I mean, he's looking 61 points, 71 games. That's great. I mean, Cole Perfetti played well. This is a really good team. I'm impressed. And their depth looks pretty good as well. I'm actually more impressed than I thought it was going to be. Of course, the unknown is Jonathan Taves, who did sign a $2 million deal for 1 year to play with his hometown team. Cole Perfetti had 50 points in 82 games. Man, that is awesome. This team is looking really dynamic. I'm very impressed with them and their ability to bring in guys or at least draft them and like keep some of these guys and do some good trades. This is really smart. Their D, of course, you have Josh Morrissey, Dylan DeMello, Sandberg, and Pionk are looking good too. And of course, Connor Hellebuyck is the it factor here. I think. Let's see the Central. Who's better? Is Dallas better than Winnipeg? That's tough. Is Dallas better than Winnipeg? Let's take a step. Actually, let's look. I mean, they both have great goalies. I think Dallas struggled a little bit more. I'm kind of vibes wise. I think Winnipeg's going to take the division again. I think I'm feeling it. They're taking the division again. I think that was so good in them. But I'm going to move Dallas up. Since we're talking about Winnipeg and everything. I think they look so good. They pick up a couple of guys like Gus Nyquist is a nice older acquisition, like Tanner Peterson, right? The more depth stuff, but a lot of your core pieces are there, and so it's pretty impressive of what they've done. Like, let's go to Dallas Stars and just see what they got, because of course you have guys that kind of like miss a couple steps, but you trade for Mikko Rantanen, and now you have him for a full year. I mean, hard to fault right there. So you do need Jason Robertson to in his contract year. Man, it's a contract year. That could be like, again, that's the unknown factor right there. 80 points in 82 games. We know he's hit over a point per game. He's hit over 182. Mikko Rantanen had 88 points in 82 games last year. Jamie Benn signed that nice 1-year contract. Is he what? $1 million? Yeah, $1 million of bonuses, I assume. Matt Duchene hit 82 and 82. Man, even Wyatt Johnson 71 and 82. And that's your third line center. Sagan, before he got injured, 21 points in 20 games. Those are solid as well. They bring back Boxa. Good for them. A 3-year contract at $2 million. Girl, what are you doing? Of course, you have Miro Heiskanen, phenomenal player, 25 points. I mean, only 25 points, 50 games, get injured. Lindell stepped up. Harley really stepped up, looking phenomenal. Definitely going to take a little bit of step back because he's not going to have that PP1. Because, of course, that's Miro's spot. But 50 points, 78 games is phenomenal. The Labushkin contract you don't love. And then, of course, you need some good hard minutes out of Bickle and Lundqvist. So, but I think these are some good. This is a good team, man. This is a really good team. This is gonna be tough. I guess right now, because Jason Robertson's kind of the it factor. He's such a solid performance. I don't know if we're gonna see another. I think I like. Who do I like better? I mean, I'm biased, so I am a Dallas fan. I think the thing is I think both defense look great. I think both forward groups look great. I think, again, I think Jason Robertson's a factor. You got to figure there. I think, I am going to switch this. I think the Jets are going to take a step back because they lost Ehlers. It's just because they lost Ehlers. And the Dallas Stars added Mikko Rantanen. So I think they're going to be the top. That makes more sense. They're going to be my Stanley Cup contenders. We drop Winnipeg Jets down to a playoff team. Again, it's similar to the Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights being that 1-2 punch. I think that's similar with Dallas and the Winnipeg Jets. If you want to, they're going to be fighting for that top spot for sure. So, and Jets won the President's Trophy last year, which is crazy, taking them down. So, LA, I'm going to the LA Kings. These guys, they brought in Ken Holland, former Detroit Red Wings GM. Let's see if they regret it, because he made some interesting moves. I think there's some good ones. I think there's some rough ones. So he re-signs, Andrei Kuzmenko, which is great. He performed well, 37 points in 66 games. Kopitar's good. Kempe's good. Again, getting a little older. Fiala was, again, a good pickup. Byfield's taking another step. Laferriere got a new contract. Like Warren Fogle, that contract worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. Philip Deneau is starting to slow down, but he's still a great third-line center. They need some guys to take a step. So Hellenius needs to take a little bit of a step. They traded out Jordan Spence, but again, you have Brant Clark, so he could be your PP2. I think there's some good guys in this, but again, you're fighting. I think Anton Forsberg was a great pickup for the goalie, by the way. I think that was very smart of them. And of course, the Kemper experiment really worked out really well. I think this is a solid team. This is just a straight up playoff team. I mean, how do you fight the Oilers and, in Vegas? Like, how do you beat them? And that is the Kings' nightmares versus the Oilers again in the first round and losing. So we will see what happens with them. Seattle playoffs. No, you are not the playoffs, Seattle. You are the Kraken, and I don't know what has happened with you. They do have 2 first round picks. They have 2 in look at that. They have 2 in this year, 2 first round picks this year, 1 for that's the Burakovsky, not Burakovsky. What's his name? It was the Gord and what was his name? I can't think of his name. Starts with a B. Oh, goodness gracious. I got to look this up now. It's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. Tampa Bay Lightning. I know it starts with a B. Bjorkstrand. There you go. Bjorkstrand. I knew it started. I told you it started with a B. I told you. And they had 2 first round picks next year. They're both Tampa Bay Lightning. Oh, yeah, because the Burakovsky trade. That makes sense then. They have 2 first round picks in that. That's impressive. That's very impressive. So, anywho, that is a rebuild. You have 4 first round picks in the next 2 years. It feels like a rebuilding team. And again, they're in that Pacific Division with the Oilers, Vegas Golden Knights, LA Kings. Now you have the Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames. They're going in the WTF because I don't know what the direction is. You have good guys. You re-sign a guy like Capo Caco in a great trade. I thought it was so smart. Matty Beniers needed to be doing better than 43 points in 82 games. Like, do you keep Jared McCann? You trade for Mason Marchment, which I thought was a great trade. But I guess that's a big piece that Dallas did lose, but not as big as Ehlers. So they pick up Freddie Gaudreau, I guess. So in a trade, but Shane Wright's starting to take a good step, 44 points in 79 games. Vince Dunn looks good. They trade for Ryan. They pick up Ryan Lindgren. Brandon Montour is, of course, a monster. They're just fine. Joey Decord is my favorite. I think he's just so much fun. So I think, again, I just don't know what the direction is. Are they bad? Are they good? They're middling. They're floundering. And that's kind of how I feel right now. And so I just don't think I see them going far or even having a good track at this point. So let me know what your thoughts are, Seattle fans. So Tampa Bay Lightning. We got $1.1 million in cap space. Again, this is a team that's going for it. They're an absolute playoff team. They are not the best in this division for sure. Did they pick up anyone good this year? I mean, of course, they did Bjorkstrand last year. They re-signed Yanni Gordon that monster contract for like 6 years at so cheap, which is honestly, it's just highway robbery at this point. So they got Pontus Holmberg from the Leafs. and that's their biggest acquisition. So, and Jacob Peltier. So cool. Like they have a couple guys. So, but no big change to this roster. So, but they are very, very solid. The Toronto Maple Leafs. I listen to so much Toronto Maple Leafs content. I don't really need to, but this is definitely a playoff team. You have guys like Austin Matthews. I mean, I think they're definitely going to take a step back because you lose a guy like Mitch Marner and everything. But Matthew Nyes took a monster step, 58 points in 78 games. Again, Matthews is Matthews. You have William Nylander, 84 points in 82 games. They have him slotted as a top line winger. I think you put Max Domi up there with do you have Max Domi scratch? Where are you at? Where do they have him? Where's Domi? Oh, there he is. Okay, so they had him scratch. I think you move Max Domi up to the top line. As like him and Nyes with Austin Matthews setting up him. I think that'd be so smart. They would just pocket so many goals. Tavares and Nylander have good chemistry as well. Move Michelli to the other side. I think this is a good, solid team. The playoff team definitely going to take a step back and kind of recalibrate. I think they're going to look like they're not going to be as high points every game, but I think they're definitely going to be a different identity. You saw that with Brad Treliving bringing in bigger guys on the defense. So I think it's a smart, and of course Stolars and Wall are having great years. Stolars is actually in a contract year, so hopefully he just thrives and continues to take over that number one spot in the system. So Florida Panthers, you are Stanley Cup champions. Absolutely. They won last year. They won the Stanley Cup, and I don't really need to look at them that hard at them because they did so many good things. They re-signed Brad Marchand to that sweetheart deal. They signed Ekblad to that sweetheart deal. They signed Reinhart to a sweetheart deal. Or no, not Reinhart. It was Bennett. Sam Bennett to a sweetheart deal. These guys are just doing magic at this point, getting all these guys to sign. I mean, they even got, I think it was not Lustrian. They had one of their guys, Sam Skevich. Was it him? Yeah. Sam Skevich, a former first round pick. Let's see, how well did he perform? He had like a crazy amount. 31 points, 72 games, played so well. 22 years old. They're like, yeah, you can sign for a minimum contract. And he's doing that because he wants to win. That's why. And they've traded for Seth Jones. They look so good. They could honestly win it again. They could three-peat. It's absolutely possible. So, Pittsburgh Penguins. I'm not even going to break them down. They are rebuilding, and the biggest question is does Sidney Crosby stay or does he go? Should he stay or should he go? And so I think he should be staying. Like I don't want to be wants to say, but they have so many guys they can trade. They have Brian Rust, they have Ricardo Kell, they have Sidney Crosby, they have Malkin, they have Erik Karlsson, they have Letang. There's so many guys they could sell. The problem is a lot of them no movement clauses. So we'll see. I think their rebuild doesn't have to think too hard. I can honestly see them getting Gavin McKenna, and I'm putting it down here. I think they get the first overall draft pick, and they get Gavin McKenna because you go from Mario Lemieux, one of the best players to ever play it, and then you immediately, as he's leaving, you get Sidney Crosby, one of the best players to ever play, and then as Sidney Crosby's leaving, you get Gavin McKenna. The NHL is not rigged, but it kind of is. So, especially for a smaller market team like Pittsburgh, it's crazy. So. The Nashville Predators, they are a WTF again. We trying to figure out what they're doing. They have $9 million in cap space, so they have a lot to do. I know at one point there's talk about them moving Ryan O'Reilly, but they didn't want to do that unless they got like a first round pick. Some guys perform. We got some guys that perform like Philip Forsberg, of course, but like just an overall, just not a great team. You have the Yossi injury, only 53 games played. Only one defenseman played all 82, and that was Brady Shea. That's kind of crazy, the thing you think about it. So to me, kind of WTF. No, they are WTF because I don't know what direction you're going to. Are you trying to be bad? Are you trying to be good? You sign all these guys, but then I just give me a direction. Give me a direction, please. So New York Rangers, I think they're going to be better. I think they're going to try a lot more. They picked up not a sneaky one, but they picked up Gavrikov from the LA Kings. Everyone knew he was going there, but they do have two first round draft picks. They get one from Colorado. Who did they get from the Carolina? Oh, the Keandre Miller one. That's why they traded out Keandre Miller because they were picking up Gavrikov. So that's smart of them. Get a first round pick for one of your guys, and then immediately replace him with a guy free agency. Very smart. A lot of guys had down years this year. Of course, not Panarin, 89 points. You trade out Kreider as well. I think you have JT Miller as well. I mean, there's some good guys on this team. So, but I just keep curious if Shesterkin has a bad year again, then they're gonna have a bad year. I mean, that's just kind of dependent. If you look at the Metropolitan, who do I got? Basically the Caps. I mean, the Islanders, no. Pittsburgh, no. I mean, they got to be fighting for a wild card playoff spot, right? Columbus, no. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, they're easily going for at least a wild card spot. So I could see it. I think they end up getting maybe the third divisional spot just because it's not exactly very heavy at the top for the Metropolitan. So we'll see. So let me know what your thoughts are. The Detroit Red Wings, my biases. I believe they are a wildcard team and just outside the playoffs, and I think they do miss. They have a ton of cap space, $12 million, which they're going to need for this next contract for Simon Edmondson. But I do think that they didn't make big enough moves. Of course, you have Patrick Kane. You bring in Van Riemsdyk, so that was a great move. Mason Appleton as well. You get Travis Hamonic. You get who else? You get Bernard Dockard. You have some guys. It's all young guys taking steps, and the huge move is John Gibson. I could see them getting that 5th spot in the playoffs, that second wildcard spot. But mind you, you're fighting with Montreal and Ottawa Senators, who both made the playoffs last year. And so because you're not beating out Tampa, Toronto, or Florida, so those 3 divisional spots are taken. So you have to beat out Ottawa or Montreal. And then that's if Buffalo doesn't take a step, which I don't think they will, because we have seen experience that they have not been able to. So, so I think that they're fighting for wildcard spot. I think they missed just barely, but I do think they are starting. If you see, it's all dependent on the young guys taking the steps, right? It's about Edmondson taking another step. It's about Johansson taking another step. It's about Carter Mazur taking another step. Carter Mazur taking a step because he only played 1 game and got immediately injured. He was on the ice for 1 minute and 10 seconds. Casper taking another step. Raymond is already looking like a star, 80 points in 82 games. Guys need to step up. And if you need any Red Wings video, I'll talk all Red Wings. If you comment on them, I can talk Red Wings all day. But I can definitely see them just taking another step. So they have to to make the playoffs. And that would be a dependence right there. And of course, John Gibson playing amazing too. Buffalo, WTF. Are you good or are you bad? They have so many good players too. As you see, like you can build a whole team of guys who Buffalo trade away or let walk, and they just all Stanley Cup champions. O'Reilly, Reinhart, like it's just crazy. So, but they have great players. They have Alex Tuck. You have Thompson, right? Like it's just a ton of good guys that traded for Norris. Zach Benson, of course, I really liked. I actually wanted the Red Wings to trade for or pick him up in the draft. They did not. Darlene, of course, monster, right? Owen Power, monster. They traded for Kesselring as well. They traded for Doan as well. So I mean, there's some good guys here. They signed Alex Lyon. Oh, my heart. I love Alex Lyon. But again, I just don't. These guys didn't make any big moves. They have good players. They all just need to take a step. It's a morale issue, in my opinion. But we'll see. I just don't know what's happening. Give me a direction, guys. Give me a direction. So. Again, like I was just talking about with the Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators, I don't even have to look. They made some good moves, but they picked up the Zetterlund at the trade deadline last year, which I thought was so smart. But they're fighting for a playoff spot for sure. I think that their ceiling is a little bit lower than the Red Wings and the Montreal Canadiens. Right now, I think they are a better team than Detroit Red Wings. You have Brady Tkachuk, you have Stützle. I think Piranha's a great veteran leadership cousin. They may trade for Batherson as well. Ridley Gregg's looking good as a depth option. Claude Giroux, of course, performing 50 points in 81 games. Again, these guys are just producing really well. Jake Sanderson, 57 points in 80 games. That's something we need more Sider to do. Shabbat as well, 45 points in 80 games. And of course, Jordan Spence was a good pickup. I thought that was really smart. As this is a young kid who can really thrive. I don't know if it ends up working out there because you have guys like a Shabbat and you have a Jake Sanderson who are on longer term contracts, right? But maybe by the time Jordan Spence Shabbat, if they decided to keep him, maybe they move in a Jordan Spence there. Are they the same size? No, Shabbat's 6'2", Jordan Spence is a 5'11". Absolutely not. But of course, you have Marilyn, who played great as a goalie, it was under two goals against goals against average for, and then the save percentage was 925. That's phenomenal. It's like one of the best in the league. I mean that is really good. And of course you have Linus Allmark, one of the better goalies in the league right now, getting really paid and getting paid like it too. But again, that was a great pickup. Again, fighting for that playoff spot. Never top of the division, right? But definitely could make some noise in the first round, maybe make it the second round. So we'll see. San Jose Sharks, they are rebuilding. Absolutely. They just got the second overall draft pick with Michael Misa. They didn't get anything too crazy when they came to free agents. So we'll pull that up right here. But to me, they have $19 million in cash. This sounds like a team that could definitely take on a bad contract for a draft pick. Just saying. But of course, you have Toffoli, who brought in. There's one of his buddies that he brought in too. Who was it? It was Jeff Skinner. That's who it was. And I think these guys they're having the greatest time. They're honestly having the greatest time, and I'm really happy for them. So picking up a low risk. Philip Kurashev as well. Mario Ferraro, maybe he resigns, maybe you trade him. We will see. I think the Dmitry Orlov was a smart pickup as well. Klingberg, these just offensive dynamos. I'm really curious. I think they end up again trading them because I think that just the value of them is just hey, they can be really good. And of course, Askarov, who is starting to break out, played 13 games last year. I think he's going to start to thrive in this position. So we'll see how he does. And we have the last two teams, Utah and Minnesota Wild. Utah, which had their first inaugural season last year. Congratulations to you guys. $6.6 million in cap space. Again, a team, I'm not really sure the direction. I think they made I guess I know the direction. I think they're going to be fighting for that wild card spot. With that, because they're now in the Pacific Division. They are in the Pacific. No, they're not in the Pacific Division. They're in the Central. So they're going to be fighting with Colorado and Dallas and Minnesota and St. Louis. I can see them fighting for a wild card spot. I think there was one of the reasons is because they picked up a guy like JJ Paterka, who will be turning 24 this year. He's only 23, 68 points, 77 games. So smart. Again, they have guys like Clayton Keller, who is just thriving. Logan Cooley's going to take another step. Dylan Gauthier is going to take another step. Sergachev, it's a monster, 53 points, 77 games. How much power play time? Yeah, he had almost all the power play time. That's why. And of course, Sean Durzi was injured, only played 30 games this year. And then I'd say the only weakness right now is maybe goaltending, Vemelka and Vanacek. I mean, not the strongest goaltending tandem, I'd say, but I think it's something you can definitely fix if you with a trade or something like that. Do they have any goaltenders coming up? I don't think they have anyone that I can think of that really thrived. No one I can see that really thrive. Looks like guy, they have second round pick, a 6'7" goalie, Harabel. Wow. Okay, so they got someone coming up. Second round pick from 2023. Hopefully, it ends up working out well for them. So that's something they can solve in the future, right? And of course, goalies are relatively not easy trades for. Right? They're not impossible to trade for, right? Let's say Alex Lyon or Alex Nedeljkovic had a really good season. You can get that from the Sharks, right? We saw that with Aiden Hill with the Vegas Golden Knights. Traded from the Sharks, by the way, which would be so funny. No, you're not going to do that. Vegas isn't going to trade to the Utah Mammoth, but that'd be really funny. Because he was originally a Coyote, and now Coyotes now became Utah Mammoth, so it'd be ironic. Anyways, then we have the last team, the Minnesota Wild. Let's see what they did. I don't remember any substantial moves. I know there's talks about them potentially getting Brock Nelson, but I know they re-signed Marco Rossi, which is one of their big RFAs. There's a lot of contention around that. Is there anything big? I mean, they did trade for Tarasenko, which I thought was smart there. For them, I guess smart for the Red Wings to get rid of him. We have Zeev Buium, who just thrived at Denver. He'll be playing this year as well. I think him and Brock Faber is leading that power play. I think it's going to be a monster. He was just a monster. I think taking over Jared Spurgeon's spot, I think it's going to be huge. Captain right now, right? But he is starting to get older. He's 30. He'll be 36 this year. He's in the second to last year of his contract. So, this team like this, let's see. You have Dallas fighting for that spot. You have, I mean, it's the Central, right? We just talked about this with the Utah Mammoth. If you have Dallas, Colorado playing that's your top two, right? You have Yeah, you're gonna have St. Louis, Utah, and the Minnesota Wild fighting for that spot. I think that makes a ton of sense right there. So we have our list here. So going real quick through for our Stanley Cup contenders: Oilers, Hurricanes, Dallas Stars, and the Florida Panthers. For our playoff teams, solidified playoff teams: Colorado Avalanche, New Jersey Devils, Vegas Golden Knights, Winnipeg Jets, LA Kings, not St. Louis, Tampa Bay Lightning. Goodness gracious. Toronto Maple Leafs, wild card or just outside the playoffs: St. Louis, Canadiens, Capitals, Ducks, Rangers, Red Wings, Senators, Mammoth, Wild, tanking, Chicago, Boston, Philadelphia, Islanders, Penguins, Sharks. And what the fuck is happening? We have the Columbus Blue Jackets. I don't know what they're doing. The Vancouver Canucks, Calgary Flames, Seattle Kraken, Nashville Predators, and the Buffalo Sabres. Thank you so much for joining me. You could be anywhere else. Oh my God, I'm sounding like Jesse Blake now. I'm listening to too much STPN. But anyways, let me know what your thoughts are. Hit like and subscribe. I love you guys so much. Catch you in the next one. Peace.